Hi Raz.
Hi Ajay.
So this is a wonderful location. How do you scout this thing?
Hi, I have a long history with this place. I did the case for this place. This is a mosque, dargah. This was my first case.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
So you started your career from here.
yeah, this was the
First
first case.
case.
Yeah, in 2001. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
This was my
In
first.
fact, today I want to talk to you about Ramzan and what are the few aspects about it. And while we have a surface level of information or knowledge about it, but if you can just tell me rather, little bit detail of what lies beneath that what we see on surface, and the fact that it's around the corner. So let me start by sharing that for me, I only knew a few things about Ramzan, that it is a month-long uh, series of activities which normally people follow, who follow Islam, which includes praying for 5 times. They offer namaz 5 times a day, and they fast for an entire month. When I say fast, that means they don't eat anything before sunset or after sunrise. And the fact that they keep themselves away from distractions. But if I may call myself an outsider, so for me, I think the only highlight of this whole month is the iftar parties. When I say party, that means when people used to really feast in the evening, and I have also been to some of them. I love going to Chandni Chowk and enjoying those delicacies. But again, that's all surface level. So, what's your view, or if you want to tell us something little more detail?
Ramzan, from Islamic spirituality aspect, Ramzan is the most important month for any Islamic way of life. It is part of important pillars of Islam. Basically, Ramzan is also a month of purity, month of purification.
Purification, yes.
Yeah, it's a month of purification where you spend 1 month in complete devotion to the Almighty. And you live a pure life. Mainly, you have to fast. It is month of renunciation also,
Right.
month of charity also, month of prayer also, to practice goodness in life and practice renunciation so that you come closer to nature. The more you will renounce, you will come close to nature, you come close to God, or you come close to Allah. So it is important pillar, one of the most important pillar of Islamic way of life. That is.
Not that. So when you say Islamic way of life, I'm sure there is certain things and certain exercise or certain way you lead your life, and then you say that you this special pious month you practice them with little more intensity and rigorous,
Yes,
with a
with
lot of
more
rigor.
intentionality.
Intentionality. Okay, this
Yeah,
is very
more.
interesting what you have brought in.
Yeah.
And I know you were talking about what is how significant this word is in Islam. So
Yeah. Islam has nothing to do with your caste, your race, your religion, your nationality, or from family background. It's totally dependent upon the intention. Intention is to lead a life in full surrender to the will of Almighty. To lead a life in full surrender to the supreme will. In Islamic word they call Allah, or in English you can say God.
okay,
In Vedantic principle you will call as Ishwar. You know? In Persian language you may call Khuda. Khuda ki marzi par jeena life.
okay, got that.
In full devotion to that.
Right. So when you say full devotion to God, and so what are other maybe finer nuances what people often get confused with, or I'm not very clear about. So if you can
Yeah.
briefly tell about that.
Exactly. To understand that, that fine nuances, one has to understand, if you are living in the full devotion, full surrender to the will of the God, what is the definition of God in Islam? Or what is the definition of Allah? Or what is the definition of Khuda?
Okay.
In Islamic way of spirituality, God has no form, no shape, no color. He is neither the son of anyone, neither father of anyone. He has no counterparts. You cannot see it. You cannot touch it. You can only experience it, and experience only while living in full devotion and surrender to that energy. And that's why in Islam, it is Islamic way of spirituality. You have to, your all act is devoted to that energy.
When you say whole act is devoted to that energy, can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yes, when I say that Islam says that that's first kalma. It says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So it says that Allah, yani ki God or whatever Ishwar, is only to be worshipped, is liable to be worshipped. And when in Islamic spirituality, when I say God or Allah or Ishwar, so that definition has to be remembered, that it has no form, no shape, no color. It's an energy. That energy is the most powerful energy, which is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Everything is created by it, and everything which gets destroyed is destroyed by it. So in Islamic spirituality, they believe in unity of God.
Okay. So when you say created and destroyed by it, and I also remember that you were talking some time back, the will of God.
Will of the God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything happens according to the will. That it says, there is one ayat I think it is Surah Baqarah. It says that God gives you life. It takes the life, and it has power to give you life once again. So everything what is existing, it's existing because of it. And whatever you want to seek, you have to seek from it.
Okay.
If you have any complaints, share your complaints to him only. Because everything is happening. He is the master. He is the master of whole universe. And another thing is that everything is created. It means that God existed prior to any existence, and it will continue to exist even everything is destroyed.
So I can sense some kind of similarity what we see and observe in other philosophies as well.
Yeah, it's similar. If you just say last talk we shared about Shiva, if unmanifest form of Shiva, that Shiva existed when nothing existed, and it will exist even after the existence. Every form of spirituality had struck that reality. And Islam has also speaks the same thing. Only thing is that in Islam there is only worship in unmanifest form. You have to worship in unmanifest form.
Right.
That it doesn't says to worship on any idol. It has no. You cannot worship any idol in that. That's the only difference.
I get that. I want to bring it back to the point that this month of Ramzan. First of all, I feel that Ramzan and Ramadan, so
That is the pronunciation of various. In India, we call Ramzan. In West, you they call Ramadan.
Ramadan.
Yeah.
Um, but like the point that when you say that this is a month of offering prayers, month of doing charity, month of renunciation, month of forgiveness also.
Yeah. Basically, Islam pillar is threefold.
Threefold.
Threefold. Basically, main pillar is that one is your intention. Okay. Intention and have a complete faith and devotion. And for complete faith and devotion, you have to practice Tawheed and Taqwa. Taqwa and Tawheed.
What are they?
Tawheed is that keep fully having faith and surrender to the will of the God, which is supreme, which is omnipotent, which is omniscient, which is omnipresent. He is witness to everything. No one can hide from that energy. Everything is accounted by it. He is benevolent. Al-Rahman. There's 99 names, described name of Allah.
Okay.
Allah is one name to describe that supreme energies. There are 99 which is accounted name in Quran that Allah can be called that. Those 99 names are various qualities. Just if one of this is, which I know, is Al-Rahman, that he is very benevolent.
But I remember you mentioning like intention, then fear was one of them, then forbearance was
that taqwa is that forbearance,
okay,
fear and renunciation. You have to practice these three four. Forbearance.
This is throughout, but yes, you do it more.
Basically, you have to see that whether if you are practicing three things, God feels happy. Because in Islam, everything is done for the pleasure of the God.
Yeah. And as per like what we were discussing some time back, that everything is happening from the will of God, and we being a medium of doing or making something happen.
Yes.
And maybe what you're saying is that like once we follow these three pillars in Islamic philosophy, then we become more eligible or
you come close to nature, you come close to divine.
So that we can be the medium, right?
Because that creates a lot of love in your heart. It cleans your mind, you brings a lot of compassion. And the moment you create all those energy, love, compassion, integrity, so that subtle energies, divine energies come closer to you.
Right. I like the word when you said this subtle energy. This is very beautiful, powerful, and maybe hard to touch upon maybe because like you said, it's omnipresent and but like it's so subtle that
subtle.
And that you can get easily distracted with worldly pleasures, and that's why I think you follow certain what do we call that, practices during month of Ramzan, so that you have complete focus.
So basically, you move from sense pleasure to divine pleasure.
Sense pleasure to divine pleasure.
Whatever we watch movies, we go to club, night outs, enjoy, all cater to our sense pleasure. Food, good food, all cater to sense pleasure. But to taste that subtle energy, which we can have only sense about it, to experience in reality, you have to go deeper. For that experience, you have to practice forbearance and renunciation.
Interesting. So I think we are also close to the it's in namaz time in the mosque, so we can maybe wrap up this conversation. Any closing thoughts?
What closing thought is that you can choose any path of spirituality. whether you choose Islamic way of living, you choose a Christian way of living or Vedantic way of living, okay, the goal is same, to attain peace. Islam is considered to be a religion of peace. And how I say that it's a religion of peace, that the moment you surrender to the will and you remove all the expectations for world, take what remains? You search pleasure in Supreme and you do worldly thing as your duty and responsibility. And when you start, anyone, suppose I start practicing that, that will make a person fearless. And when fear is not there, there's no expectation, surrender to the divine will, accepting what he is giving. If you have a complaint, to share your complaint through prayers, namaz.
This is also like I wanted to know about like namaz is prayer or worship or
Namaz is again like Roza or Ramzan, month of Ramaz, is one of the mechanism to practice that surrender to the will of the God. If you see in Islam, there is 5 times offering namaz.
right.
It is basically, namaz is also a cleansing process.
Okay.
It is a cleansing process. When it says that you have to live under that grace, according to the will, your whole faith should be in that energy, supreme energy. You should not have any expectation from anyone except expectation to see grace and love of the God. To practice this thing, it's a difficult task. Worldly things will be like worldly things. It will bring its own challenges, ups and downs, where a faithful sometime may experience that why it's happening to me. His faith may become weak, which in Islamic context they call shirk.
Okay.
If suppose I am getting happiness, I heard that this happiness is given by God. If I get in some pain, no matter if the pain is coming through my brother, through my wife, through my boss, whatever, I have not to blame them. Those pain and suffering is coming because God wants. I have deep faith that because God wants me to go through all those pain and suffering, that is important for my salvation. But what happens? Some disappointment happens to me, I start blaming someone. So my tawheed, that my full faith, my surrender to the will of the God, that gets dwindled away.
Right.
To fortify it,
Or restore it.
to
Or like-
restore that,
Yeah,
to
revive
align,
it.
realign,
Realign, yes.
to realign to that energy, there's a 5 time. You just see in first namaz is in the morning, just waking up in the 5 o'clock. During, even suppose you slept with complete surrender, may in dream something may happen where your faith must have dwindled away. So first thing you do, you wake up, you create intention to the will of the God, you offer namaz, then you go ahead with your rest of the day. Then around noon, offer namaz, because from morning to noon many things may happen
Right.
where my faith might have become weak. So I restore my faith and live by surrendering once again to God. Then in the evening, then in the later evening, then in the late night.
Okay.
So all these are cleansing process.
Right.
And 1 month is devoted for this, where you live a minimal life, do just basic necessity, and devote your whole time in creating your relationship with the divine energy, to that subtle energy, by offering prayers, by fasting, by forbearance, by by renunciation.
Right.
You create mercy for people. For what is forbearance? A person who might have done wrong to me, but I have a mercy, compassion towards them. I forgiveness,
Yeah.
and God likes forgiveness. The whole Hajj, if you go Hajj, is another pillar of the Islam. That before going Hajj, you have to forgive everyone. You have to seek forgiveness. You have to clean your old debt, and then you go over there and offer Hajj. And when if you come successfully back, that is considered as a new life.
New life. Right. So 1 month of intense practice, and then you celebrate with Eid.
Eid is moon. Eid ki chand, it becomes very critical. Ki you observe strictly. You make lot of sacrifices, to lead that ascetic life, and when that 28 or 29 days gets over, and you see the Eid ka chand, you feel a sense of satisfaction,
Accomplishment.
happiness, accomplishment that you have successfully, and next day you celebrate with your near one, dear one in the community as a Eid. That's Eid. And my experience is that, Ajay, there was 1 or 2 years where I didn't fast because of some constraint or some reason. Those 2 years I didn't experience much happiness in Eid celebration.
Okay.
Eid celebrations becomes real only when you follow strictly.
When you go through that.
You go through that process.
Yeah.
1 month fasting, renunciations, practice
get
of forbearance, and zakat is also a big pillar.
Okay.
Charity. Zakat is giving charity. So you give charity to your own people who are not so fortunate from your wealth.
Right.
That is here. All these things, if you cultivate either from Islamic way of life or Buddhist way of life or Vedantic or Christianity, if you are practicing all those things, you will one day or later you will experience that subtle energy.
I get that.
That's a promise.
I get that. Thank you, Ras. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So this was something like a lot of new learnings about this Islamic philosophy of.
Always.
Thank
Nice
you once
talking
again.
to you.
And I
Always nice
think
talking to
that we should let people,
Yeah.
ठीक है. Thank you once again.